Planning a trip to Switzerland can feel like a full-time job, except you already have one of those.
So we're gonna make it easy. By the end of this video, you'll know when to visit, how long to stay, where to go, how to get around, and what to do once you're actually here.
Ready to plan the trip you'll be talking about for the rest of your life? Let's jump right in.
So how many destinations can you reasonably visit on your Swiss vacation? Let's explain this one with a real-life example. So a few years ago, some American friends came and took a grand European vacation to 9 different countries in 2 weeks. And I am still not even sure how that is possible. But we met up with them towards the end of their trip in Rome, Italy, and they were absolutely pooped. Because when you zoom from place to place, you waste time checking in and out of lodging, you lose out if the weather doesn't cooperate, and often you swap more local experiences in lieu of the tourist highlights. So what can you learn from our friends? That less is more. Just lean into the tension that you won't be able to see and do everything in one trip. So strike a balance between traveling to different places and savoring the places you're in. If you have 7 days in Switzerland, choose 1 to 2 home bases. With 10 days, pick no more than 2 to 3 home bases. With 2 weeks, choose no more than 3 to 4 spots. And if you have more than 2 weeks, well, you can obviously pick more. We use the term home base strategically, and it literally means the number of hotels or Airbnbs that you stay in, because it's often easier and possible to stay in one location and take day trips out from there rather than changing lodging too frequently. Ideally, stay a minimum of 2 nights in each home base, but there is an exception if you spend 1 night near the airport before you fly out, because this is often just strategic. And that is not included in our home base allowance we mentioned earlier. And we know traveling Switzerland can be complicated, but it doesn't have to be. So to streamline the process, we made you a free printable. You can grab it from the link in the description below and then literally plan your entire Swiss vacation while you watch this video.
We don't need to give you permission. This is your vacation. So we encourage you to unapologetically pick the places you want to go, the things your travel group wants to do, and the pace that is sustainable for your entire trip. But how do you know what fits your travel pace, personality, and preferences if you've never been here? Since we launched our channel, we've observed that travelers fit into 3 very general categories. Meet Tom Tourist. He loves to visit the absolute top highlights and doesn't mind being packed in with the crowds or spending a premium to do so. In his mind, visiting Switzerland without seeing the Matterhorn would be unthinkable. He builds his itinerary around these popular sites because that's what makes him happy. And if he happens to have extra room to include lesser known attractions, that's just a bonus.
Meet Leah Local. She's the complete opposite of Tom Tourist. She gets a thrill from finding places she has never seen on Instagram and loves the feeling of sharing a space with no one but locals. In her eyes, travel isn't about the well-known hotspots, but about experiencing the true culture of a place that a travel guide could never capture. Leah might still enjoy some of the highlights, but these will be more of an exception than the norm. Because to her, sharing stories with friends back home of places they've never heard of beats a picture of her at Jungfraujoch, top of Europe, any day.
Meet Adam Allaround. He enjoys a mix of the highlights and local experiences. Why should he have to choose one or the other? But he also knows the hotspots aren't everything, so he balances the top attractions with places that aren't so well known. He's happy to take a couple risks because while there's a chance of going somewhere that's a dud, it's also possible he'll stumble upon somewhere truly extraordinary. So which are you most like? Tom Tourist, Leah Local, or Adam Allaround? Check off which travel personality best suits you, or even if you find yourself somewhere in between, because he or she is going to be your mini Swiss tour guide for the rest of this video.
If this is your first trip to Switzerland, we are thrilled for you. The bad news is that there is a never-ending list of places to visit, as evidenced by the abundance of hearts and stars on Brett's Google map. But here's the good news. You can always return again in the future. And there are plenty of spots with so much to offer Tom Tourist, Leah Local, and Adam Allaround. So that's why we feel extremely confident in recommending these places for your first trip to Switzerland. And if you've already been here before, keep watching because we're going to talk about those spots later too. And as you see regions you'd like to visit, mark them off on your checklist so you remember which ones you're interested in. First is the Jungfrau region. If you could only visit one place in Switzerland in your entire lifetime, we'd recommend this one. It's the ultimate mountain playground with the highest train station in Europe, peaks overlooking turquoise lakes and jaw-dropping valleys. It's the picture-perfect postcard of cows in the mountains, chalet villages, endless trails, gushing waterfalls, scenic train rides, and so much more. The Jungfrau region is the perfect place to plan your dream Swiss vacation. Tom tourists won't want to skip Jungfrau Joch, Grindelwald Fierce, Schilthorn, Mannlichen, Harderkulm, Giesbach Falls, and the adventure activities. Despite the well-marketed experiences, Leah Local won't feel out of place either. She can wander villages straight out of a postcard, hike on trails without seeing another person, visit mountains only frequented by the Swiss, and even dine in restaurants where the local dialect is more common than English. And as you can imagine, Adam all around will think this is the perfect region to blend both the highlights and unique experiences into one trip. We don't think it's possible to oversell the magic of this place. In fact, this is where we live, and our 1-week guide to the Jungfrau region is our best-selling Swiss travel guide with just shy of 5,000 sales right now at the time of recording. So how long should you stay here? Aim for a minimum of 5 days, but ideally 1 full week to enjoy the mountains, the lakes, and the valleys. Because you don't want to come all this way just for the weather not to cooperate and you can't see those amazing peaks. For example, we came here on our honeymoon for 5 days and we did not have clear skies until our very last day. So where should you stay? Well, Tom tourists will want to be in the middle of the action in Interlaken, Grindelwald, or Wengen. Wilderswil or Lauterbrunnen might tick most of the boxes for Adam all around, and Leah Local will not be at a loss for quaint spots in Wilderswil, Gimmelwald, or even the foothills of Grindelwald. And she might even venture out onto the lakes in Ringenberg, Spiez, or Brienz. By the way, we have a free download and a complete video about where you should stay in the Jungfrau region based on your preferences. You can find that at the link in the description below.
Next, we're going to move on to Lucerne and central Switzerland. But if we haven't met, we're Jana and Brett, Aplins in the Alps, and we help you travel Switzerland with confidence. We binged Rick Steves to help plan our 2-week Swiss honeymoon back in 2012. And then we kept coming back for longer and longer until we moved here full-time in 2023. And as of 2025, we have officially visited all 26 Swiss cantons. Clearly, we cannot get enough of this country. And you get to benefit from our 1.5 decades of experience with every new video, free resource, email, and travel guide we create. And just in case you were wondering, you have our full permission to adapt our advice to fit your travel pace, priorities, and preferences. So with that in mind, let's get back to Lucerne and central Switzerland, our second pick for first-time visitors. The city of Lucerne is our favorite Swiss city because it has the best balance of culture, charm, and tourist attractions. It's famous for its covered wooden bridges, city walls, painted buildings, lion monument, grand churches, and its location right on Lake Lucerne. The little mountain next to town is the best spot for sunset, and the Swiss Museum of Transport is a can't miss for families and transportation lovers. But Lucerne is also an ideal home base for day trips to endless destinations in central Switzerland. Tom tourists will love Mount Pilatus and its dragon legends, panoramic views from Mount Rigi, seeing snow at Mount Titlis, riding on top of a cable car to the Stanzerhorn, and hiking along the Stoss Ridge Trail, which might be the most popular hike in Switzerland. Leah Local, there are amazing places for you too. Instead of Rigi, consider the rolling hills and farm restaurants on Seebodenalp, or explore the entire valley of Engelberg below Mount Titlis. Klevenalp and Bonalp are hidden gems you won't find in most guidebooks either. And then there are towns like Stans and Brunnen, and you see why Leah Local or Adam All Around could spend weeks in central Switzerland. Give yourself 3 to 5 days in Lucerne and central Switzerland. 1 day is to experience the best of Old Town Lucerne, and the rest are for those amazing day trips. Tom tourists, of course, will want to stay in the old town of Lucerne since it's so central. But Adam Allaround and Leah Local will want to scope out the newer part of Lucerne just across the river from Old Town, or even Engelberg, Stans, Schwyz, or Brunnen, all nearby villages easily accessible with public transportation.
As a third priority, we recommend heading to Montreux and the Swiss Riviera. Now, this is in the French-speaking part of Switzerland, so it has a very different feel from the last two destinations we mentioned, which are in the German-speaking part. Montreux sits right on the edge of Lake Geneva and is well known for its lakefront promenade, jazz festival, endless vineyards, and Chateau de Chillon, the waterfront castle just next to town that you will not be able to miss. Tom tourists could spend days in or near Montreux. Of course, his itinerary will include Chateau de Chillon, plus the cogwheel train up to Rocher de Ney, a day trip to the medieval village and cheese factory in Gruyere, visiting the popular Caille Chocolate Museum, and taking a tourist train through the vineyards. Leah Local is going to visit lesser-known museums like Fort du Chillon or the House of Charlie Chaplin. She'll venture to the quiet villages and restaurants and wineries sprinkled throughout the Lavaux Rhine region, and maybe she'll take a day trip to the Chateau d'Isle and La Bernousse Mountain. Both Leah Local and Adam Allaround are probably going to stop in Vevey as well, our favorite town in the whole region because of the charming streets and waterfront paths. 2 to 4 days will give you a great experience on the Swiss Riviera. And as an added bonus, you could actually stay overnight here before you fly out of the Geneva airport because they're so close. Now, Tom tourist is probably going to want to stay in Montreux. Adam Allaround might consider Vevey, and Leah Local will have no problem finding somewhere to stay in the Lavaux vineyards. Saint Saphrin and Lutry are 2 of our favorites.
And the last region we suggest for first-time visitors is the Zurich region. Now, we wouldn't prioritize this over the other 3 areas that we've mentioned, but most travelers will come through here at some point for the airport. And if you're already here, there are definitely places worth visiting. Tom Tourist is going to spend a lot of time in the Old Town Zurich, admiring the churches, fountains, and historical neighborhoods. He won't miss the Lindt Home of Chocolate, the Limmat River boat cruise, or a ride up to Uetliberg, Zurich's local mountain. And if he has the time, he's probably going to take a day trip to the Rhine Falls, the widest waterfalls in Europe. In fact, Adam Allaround would probably find that one interesting as well. Leah Local will take her time scoping out the local cafes and restaurants in Zurich's neighborhoods outside of Old Town. She'll enjoy a quiet ride on the city's 3 funiculars, and she'll probably explore other towns along Lake Zurich, like our favorite of Rapperswil, Jona. 1 to 3 days is ideal in and around Zurich, especially if you're already traveling through here. That's enough time to mix Old Town adventures with 1 or 2 day trips. Once again, Tom Tourist is going to find lodging right in the middle of Old Town. For Adam Allaround, District 2 of the city is amazing for convenience and a more local feel. Or he might join Leah Local and stay farther along the lake. Enge and Wollishofen, both in District 2, are just 5 and 10 minutes away from Zurich Hauptbahnhof by train, while Kilchberg and Thalwil are only 15 and 20 minutes. But hang on, you're probably wondering, what about Zermatt? Or Ticino? Or Appenzell? What if my European river cruise ends in Basel? And isn't Bern smack dab in the middle of the country?
We have already established that we are quite biased about this little country, but we have noticed that we are not the only ones. So many of you come once, fall in love, and can't wait to come back again. For example, more than 2/3 of our customers said they're already planning a return trip, and our friend Laura, who has been here dozens of times, is planning 2 more trips next year. So if you have more time or you're planning a return trip to Switzerland, here are a few more destinations to consider. And once again, these are conveniently listed on your checklist.
Of course, Zermatt is first on this list. And it's not just because the Matterhorn is one of the most famous mountains in the world. It's because every time we visit, we enjoy Zermatt more and more. And I'm pretty sure that we have spent collectively almost a month of our time here. Naturally, the resort-like village with endless spas and Matterhorn views are reason enough to visit. But Jana's favorite mountaintop and some of my favorite hikes in the entire country are here too. Tom Tourist is going to visit the highest cable car station in Europe at Matterhorn Glacier Paradise. Visit Switzerland's highest peak and second largest glacier from the top of Gornergrat. Enjoy the Five Lakes Trail, where a handful of lakes reflect the Matterhorn, and watch the goat parade through town. Both Tom Tourist and Adam Allaround will probably pet the famous black-nosed sheep too. Now, the main reason Zermatt is on our second list is because we recommend making the Jungfrau region your first Swiss Alps experience. In fact, we made a video where we pit these two destinations against one another head to head. But also because Zermatt is just one village. So Leah Local will have a harder time feeling like she can get off the beaten path without hiking more remote trails or leaving the village entirely. And if the weather is poor or you can't see the Matterhorn, everyone will be pretty disappointed. But the food here is out of this world, and it's one of the sunniest spots in the country. And there's nowhere else in Switzerland that makes it so easy to get so high up into the mountains. So plan to enjoy 2 to 3 days here for the highlights, hiking, and the Michelin star food. And if you're an avid hiker, you could certainly spend up to a week here, like we have on 2 separate occasions. Tom Tourist will want to stay in the middle of the village, while Adam Allaround might stay in Winkelmatten, a neighborhood on the edge of town just uphill from the Glacier Paradise cable car station, and connected to the rest of Zermatt by e-bus. As for Leah Local, she'll have a harder time finding her ideal place here, but she'd probably enjoy staying up in a mountain hut. For example, she could stay in the Flualp mountain hut to see the Matterhorn reflected in Stellisee during sunrise.
At this point, the 5 destinations we've covered offer a combined 13 to 22 days of adventures, and that's plenty for most travelers. But if you've already been to those spots, here are a few more of our recommendations if you're curious. Bern is a great little town with pedestrian streets, bridges over the Aare River, and even a bear sanctuary. But it's really best as a day trip or if you're already passing through. And we'd recommend Lucerne over Bern if you're looking for a typical Swiss city experience.
Appenzell has traditional villages, gorgeous, albeit smaller mountains, alpine lakes, and famous cheese and beer.
Biggest dang old cheese wedgie I've ever seen.
Oh, and the micro-country of Liechtenstein isn't far from here either.
If you're taking a European river cruise, chances are you'll pass through Basel. It has a beautiful old town and also happens to be one of our top recommended Christmas markets in Switzerland.
Sunny Ticino in the south of Switzerland has palm-lined lakes and warm, sunny weather with Italian food and flair. This pairs nicely with a visit to Italy since it's on the border, and a handful of scenic train experiences like the Gotthard Panorama.
And if you're interested in untouched mountains, luxury resort villages, or the Glacier Express, you'll find all of that in Graubünden.
Honestly, there are even more places we could list. But lucky for you, we're continually building up our library with new videos, and we plan to eventually cover all of these spots and beyond.
Now let's elaborate a little bit more on where to stay, because I get completely overwhelmed with decision fatigue when I go online and start looking for lodging and have hundreds of apartments and hotels options. I mean, seriously, how am I supposed to narrow that down? First, all of our Swiss travel guides have a detailed where to stay section to help shrink the map a bit further within each region. And if you've decided to stay in hotels, you will definitely want to check out Hotel Card. This is what we personally use to book hotels in Switzerland because it offers discounted rates at select partner hotels. And when you search for a place, it only gives you about a dozen options instead of hundreds, which already saves me hours of time and headaches too. If you use our link, you can save 20 francs on your membership. And the best part is that you can search availability of hotels and prices before ever purchasing the card. But let's be real, sometimes you just don't have hours to sift through all of the search results, or you just rather put your energy to other parts of the trip planning process. And in that case, we highly recommend booking a holiday package through Switzerland Travel Center. This combines your lodging, train passes, scenic train tickets, and scenic seat reservations into a single purchase. And you can get a 5% discount on any package if you book using our promo code AFF Aplins in the Alps. We are affiliate partners with both Hotel Card and Switzerland Travel Center, which means we earn a small commission at no extra cost to you when you book through our links. But we only recommend products or services that we personally use and know you will find invaluable in your trip planning process. Plus, it's an easy way to support us so we can continue cranking out incredibly helpful videos like this one to help you travel Switzerland with confidence. And those links are conveniently included in your checklist so you can find them easily when you're ready to book your lodging.
Before we talk about what to do and how to get around the country, we need to backtrack and talk about a few trip planning basics. How to get to Switzerland, when to visit, and how long to stay. You can arrive in Switzerland by plane, train, or car. And maybe by boat if you're on a European river cruise. If you're arriving by car, there's a lot of flexibility on how to get here and where to start your trip. But a quick word of caution. If this is your first trip to Switzerland, don't rent a car. You're gonna pay a lot of money for that rental, even more money for parking, and then even more money to ride transportation up into the mountains since you can't drive to the top of most of them anyway. Now, if you're planning a road trip and you really want to get off the beaten path, don't let us sway you otherwise. But in that case, it's often cheaper to both pick up and drop off your rental car outside of Switzerland. If you're arriving by train, you'll also have a lot of flexibility. And don't let Swiss transportation give you a headache. We'll dive into transportation tips later in this video, including our free Swiss Train Pass Selector checklist. If you're flying into Switzerland, there are 3 or 4 options. Zurich and Geneva are the main international airports if you're flying from outside of Europe. And Basel is a good option if you're flying from within Europe. But don't overlook Milan, Italy too, since it's right across the border and might be just as close as some of your destinations within Switzerland.
So, how long should you spend in Switzerland? Let's just state the obvious. Stay as long as you can. Okay, again, I know we are a little bit biased, but there is just so much to see and experience. Trust us, you will not get bored in this little landlocked country overflowing with mountains and lakes. So if you're flying from abroad, aim for a minimum of 10 days. Really, that means the first and last day are travel days, and often day number 2 is reserved for overcoming jet lag, so that leaves a solid 7, maybe 8 days of traveling. And if you're coming from within Europe, aim for a minimum of 1 full week, although 10 days or even 2 weeks is more ideal. There's an important hidden principle here. The longer you stay in Switzerland, the cheaper your overall cost per day will be. Your flights are going to cost the same for a 1-week trip as a 1-month vacation. Your cost per day of a Swiss train pass can be reduced by more than 50% if you stay longer, and even some hotels and Airbnbs offer discounts for longer stays too. So be sure to check off on your Swiss trip planning checklist how long you plan to stay in the land of cheese and chocolate.
A lot of you have set vacation dates without much flexibility. But if you do have some wiggle room, here are a few points to consider, with the caveat that best is totally dependent on your travel, personality, and preferences. In general, January, February, and March are the true winter months, with snow activities in the mountains like skiing, sledding, or winter hiking. February also means carnival season, with lots of related festivities in the bigger cities too.
April, May, and even early June are some of the most beautiful months, with fields of wildflowers, villages overflowing with flowers, fruit trees in full bloom, raging waterfalls, and snow-capped mountain peaks. But this is also a transition season, with still plenty of snow in the mountains, and many of the mountain transport lines will close at some point in this season for annual maintenance.
Mid-June through August is truly the high season, with the most tourists and highest prices, but of course the longest days and warmest weather. And this tends to be when almost everything is fully open, especially in the mountains. And in the high Alps, the best hiking conditions are in July and August.
September and October uniquely mix the best parts of summer with the hints of coming winter. Many mountain destinations are open until sometime in October, and if there's no snow yet, this can be one of the best times for hiking too. This time of year brings blue skies along with colorful autumn leaves. Plus, it's harvest time, so if you love apples or fresh produce, your taste buds will love this season too.
November is an interesting month. Lots of mountain railways and destinations close for part or even all of this month for maintenance. And you'll probably be under a thick layer of fog in many of the cities and valleys north of the Alps. But November is also the cheapest time of year to visit. You'll have the chance to taste local games such as Ibex and Chamois, and the end of this month kicks off the Christmas market season.
Speaking of Christmas markets, that's one of the top reasons to visit in December, along with the opening of most mountain destinations for the winter season.
Part 7 of your checklist lists these months, or flip to page 2 and write in your travel dates. Now that we have a solid foundation, let's dig into the nitty-gritty details of what to do in Switzerland and Swiss transportation.
If you're like us, then you've probably browsed the travel section of your local bookstore, you've probably watched a few Rick Steves episodes, and definitely done some internet searching. And all of that has given you plenty of ideas, but no concrete idea of what to prioritize and what's worth skipping over. And that's where we come in. We're going to tell you exactly what we do if we had one day in each of those destinations we just mentioned, and then we're going to give you 4 resources to help you fill out your entire Swiss itinerary even more.
Our favorite place in the Jungfrau region, and quite possibly all of Switzerland, is Mürren. We first visited way back in 2012 on our Swiss honeymoon, and without exaggeration, we've probably been here 100 times since. It's a cozy, car-free village perched above the cliffs of Lauterbrunnen Valley with imposing views of the iconic Eiger, Munch, and Jungfrau. It has great cafes and restaurants and endless hiking trails. Plus, a trip to Mürren pairs perfectly with Lauterbrunnen Valley, Gimmelwald, and the Schilthorn.
If we had one day in the city of Lucerne, we'd explore Old Town like we already mentioned earlier. And if we had only one day in central Switzerland, we'd head straight to, well, actually, we feel like most travelers would enjoy picking one of these top 3. Mount Pilatus with the steepest cogwheel train in the world, Mount Rigi, which has incredible views of Lake Lucerne, and Mount Titlis with that swing, suspension bridge, and snow tubing park.
And the best way to spend a day on the Swiss Riviera is to go to Vevey. This village has some of the prettiest pedestrian streets and riverfront paths. We always love to walk through the Alimentarium gardens and sit by the main square. You can even catch a boat from here too. Just above town are the endless Lavaux vineyards, which is the perfect place for a nice dinner.
It's easy to pick exactly what we do with one day in Zurich. Wander the Old Town historic streets, squares, bridges, churches, and viewpoints during the day. Lindenhof and the Opera House are some of my favorites. And Brett has an endless list of amazing restaurants and cafes too. And then we'd spend the evening up in Uetliberg.
Jana's absolute favorite Swiss mountain peak is in Zermatt. So with only one day there, we'd take the cogwheel train up to Gornergrat. It has breathtaking views of the second longest glacier in the Alps, 29 mountains above 4,000 meters, and, of course, the Matterhorn. Plus, it's famous for black-nosed sheep, Switzerland's highest altitude hotel, and an alpine lake that mirrors the Matterhorn.
Now, that list is really helpful if you only have one day in each location, but hopefully you have much longer. So here are 4 resources to help you craft your full Swiss vacation itinerary. First, we have an entire library of free YouTube videos for all kinds of places in Switzerland. Second, our website is loaded with blog articles and free resources like our Swiss Train Pass checklist and Switzerland packing list for all 4 seasons. Third, every Saturday we send out an email newsletter with insider tips, behind the scenes info, and advice on what you should do in Switzerland. And bonus, our inbox insiders always receive a special discount on every new travel guide we launch. And fourth, speaking of our Swiss travel guides, they really are the best way to plan your trip because they help you maximize your time. With more than 8,000 customers, these minute-by-minute itineraries truly are a foolproof way to plan your dream Swiss vacation. Don't know where to go in each region? We tell you which destinations are can't miss and which ones are great if you have the time. Don't know where to stay? We map out which areas of the town or region make the most sense for that itinerary. Don't know how to get there? We give you specific navigation instructions and even digital maps to follow so you won't get lost. Don't know where to eat? Each guide includes a curated list of our recommended restaurants and cafes and even which dishes we like to order there. Don't know which train pass to buy? We've done the research for you to help you understand exactly which passes are the best combination of convenience, simplicity, and cost savings. Still have questions? No problem. Each guide has a bonus PDF to answer the questions like what to do on rainy days, how to save money with the Swiss Coupon Pass, which scenic train rides fit the itinerary, and so much more. Now we're going to talk about Swiss train passes, the last section on your checklist. Because coming to Switzerland and not buying a train pass is like throwing your money in the garbage. For real, about 95% of you are going to need some sort of train pass in Switzerland. But first, let's mention the oh-so-popular Swiss Scenic train rides. Town tourists might book the Glacier Express, Golden Pass Express, or Bernina Express. These journeys take train travel to the next level with comfy seats, panoramic windows, and onboard amenities like regional food and wine. But they're often crowded, especially in peak season, and ticket prices and seat reservation fees might make you cringe. Now, Leah Local might prefer to ride those scenic trains on regional routes. This means the same views, but no premium services, fewer costs, and way less people. Adam All-Around might still enjoy some of these scenic train rides, but only when they conveniently connect two locations he's already visiting rather than forcing it into his itinerary. In our opinion, here are the most convenient scenic train rides and the best value that align with our recommended destinations. The costs may not sound cheap, but they're actually quite affordable compared to the Glacier Express with a 54 franc seat reservation and a 159 franc full price ticket in second class. And since we're covering the basics, here's a quick hit list of important things to know about Swiss scenic trains. Feel free to pause the video for a minute to snap a screenshot or read the details.
Wouldn't it be amazing if there was one Swiss train pass that covered every single route in the country? I mean, buy it once, scan it 1,000,000 times, and never have to worry about buying a ticket or having the wrong pass. Unfortunately, that doesn't exist. But hey, Switzerland, if you're watching, let's chat. Because an all-in-one pass for Switzerland would be an incredible buy worth every Swiss franc. Instead, you're left with no fewer than 20 different train pass options. Sounds confusing, right? All right, you say, no problem. I'll just buy tickets as I go. And that's definitely an option. But 95% of the time, you'll spend a few hundred francs more per person without a train pass. The math doesn't lie. You're truly throwing away your money without a Swiss train pass. And sometimes you'll want multiple passes. Now, I know this is already sounding confusing, but give us a few quick minutes and we'll boil this down in the simplest of terms. If you value cost savings, opt for the Swiss half fare card. It's incredibly affordable, it's valid for an entire month, and it's basically like a half off coupon, so you can buy tickets at a 50% discount. So you'll still need to buy tickets every time you travel, but you'll spend substantially less. If you value convenience, pick the train pass or passes that cover as many of your planned transportation routes as possible so you can buy as few tickets as possible. This often means using one or more of the regional train passes that offer solid coverage in the mountains, such as the Berner Oberland Pass, Jungfrau Travel Pass, Lucerne Travel Pass, and Peak Pass. And I know this sounds crazy, but you'll often save more money by combining these passes with a half fare card too. But if you value simplicity and don't want to juggle so many passes, the Swiss Travel Pass might make sense for you. It's valid all across the country, which is especially great for covering large distances or for those expensive scenic trains. But it's not as great in the mountains since it only offers a discount on most mountain journeys.
Our best advice is to download and learn how to use the SBB mobile app. It's the national transport app for Switzerland and the absolute easiest way to buy tickets, navigate timetables, find routes with or without a train pass. And to answer every question you could possibly have, we created our 3-part ultimate guide to Swiss transportation and this video to help you ride Swiss transportation like a pro. So check those out next and we'll see you in Switzerland.